I'll figure out how to like fix things without messing the world up.
All right, yeah.
If he's not gonna use it, we'll turn it off. You turn the work off.
Okay. Are you gonna refer to the mic?
Yeah, I won't use the mic. Can you guys hear me in the back? No? They'll be hearing me in Buckingham if I use the microphone.
As long as you keep on talking loud.
I'll be loud, I promise.
Ready.
I promise you I'll be loud. So I know we have to stop at 11, so I'll make sure. So thank you very much. I'm sitting in the back and I'm like, when did Bristol Township get all these Republicans? So,
Yeah.
I started in Bristol Township when I came, I started in Bensalem as a police officer in 1987, and I moved, I bought my first house here in Bristol, and I moved to Bensalem, and actually just came back to Bristol Borough, not the township though, so we're living in Bristol Borough right now, so I love it back down, especially the borough, it's great, so it's nice to be back at Georgine's. I don't know how anybody eats the chicken parm though, it's enough for 4 people. So a little bit, let me tell you how I got to the border, because a lot of people are like, well, what the heck is the Bucks County? I hear this from the other side of the aisle that doesn't really like me talking about this for obvious reasons. Why would the Bucks County Sheriff in Pennsylvania, in Bucks County, why did he go down to the border, and what brought him there, and just how did he wind up down there? So just to give you a little bit of my history real quick so you know where I am, I was in Bensalem for 36 years as a police officer. The last 16 until January of 22, I was the police chief there in Bensalem Township. And thanks to hopefully all of you, I ran in the 21 election, November, won for sheriff, and knew it was time after 36 years to move on. I wanted to kind of do the stuff that I was doing in Bensalem. I wanted to kind of do it countywide and kind of spread my horizons, if you will. So I've been now the sheriff since January of 21, and I'm going to run again November of 25. So another year, another couple of months we start the row officers, all the row positions, the Republican held row positions are all up for election, so it's pretty important that we maintain at least half the courthouse. So you'll be seeing a lot of us again very soon, but right now we're letting the other group that's running for this November kind of be out and about, not overwhelming people. So as police chief in Bensalem and being very active in the Pennsylvania Police Chiefs and the International Chiefs of Police organization, I still sit on forensic committees and technology committees. That was my thing. It still is my thing. I'm very interested in forensics. I'm sure you saw some of the new stuff about the work we do here in Bucks County, utilizing DNA to solve crime. So I'm pretty involved in that. So when I became a sheriff, I got involved in the National Sheriff's Association. So in February of 24, forgot what year we are. February of 24, I was at the National Sheriff's Association mid-year meeting, because I'm on their technology committee in Washington, D.C. So I'm at my committee meeting, and we finished up, right? The committee finished up maybe 5-10 minutes early than everybody else is supposed to finish. And I went down, one floor down, where the breakout rooms were, to get a cup of coffee, and in one of the rooms, it was kind of room about 3 times the size of this. They were sitting in a C shape, they had a PowerPoint, and it was packed. I mean, people were coming out of the door, so it caught my interest. It wasn't my committee, I didn't even know what was going on in there, but I went over to see, and it was a border security committee. And we're talking about sheriffs that are on the border. A guy named Mark Daniels is a sheriff from Cochise County, which you're gonna hear about, and he chairs this committee for the National Sheriff's Association. And these men and women that are sheriffs all over the United States and are at border states, and now, because of what I learned that day and what I learned in April on my trip to Cochise County, is that we really are all border states. And I'm going to tell you what the nexus is here to Pennsylvania, specifically Bucks County, specifically Bristol Township, and Salem Township, Middletown, Falls Township, and all the boroughs that surround the lower end counties, as well as Quakertown and the upper end of the county, and all over Bucks County, and what that really got my involvement. So as I was standing listening to this presentation, they had a slide up on the screen, and it was a slide that showed a nexus of guns. You cannot own a weapon in Mexico legally. So the weapons that come into Mexico, most of them are coming from the United States, back into the United States through the cartels illegally. So they're straw purchases. And a lot of the drugs, and that's what they're showing, the influx of drugs. Now I know from being the sheriff and being the police chief in Ben Salem for the last 16 years, I know that we are surrounded, we are next to the opioid capital of the country, Philadelphia. Is some of the best opioids and heroin's not on the way out, but we're seeing new drugs emerging now. But still, the amount of drugs coming in through the border really is unbelievable. And the guns and the drugs and the human trafficking and what I saw of the direct line to Pennsylvania, as well as other states, but Pennsylvania, and that caught my interest. So I stayed after the presentation. I went up to Mark Daniels, the sheriff of Cochise County, the chair of the committee, and I started asking him some questions because now I was pretty interested in this. And he basically told me, why don't you, I'm not very good with graphs, so these are my handwriting on some of this stuff. See, I'm sure there's a better way of doing it with a straight line, but I couldn't figure it out. So you'll have to deal with some of my handwriting on some of the slides. He said, why don't you come down to Cochise County and spend a couple of days with us? I said, well, why would you do that to him? Why are you going to waste your time? He goes, because you're learning here, and people don't believe us. They don't believe the fight, the war that we are fighting down there every day on our borders. And he said, we need you to go back. My only ask is that you go back to Pennsylvania and you tell as many people what you saw with your own eyes. Not that what I saw, what I presented to you in a PowerPoint in Washington, D.C., or what they're watching on Fox, or what they're watching on CNN, you know, because you don't know what to believe on television, and I was the same as you. I don't know what to believe, what not to believe, until I got to see it with my own eyes, what his men and women are doing down there, and the things that they're finding, the drugs, and the numbers that I'm going to present to you tonight, and the information I'm going to present to you tonight, is stuff that was directly gotten from them. The slides, most of these slides, about 80% of the slides are pictures that I took while I was on the border. You might recognize a couple of people that are police chiefs in Bucks County that went down with me, but you know, some of the stuff I took off of the PowerPoint that they showed us while we're down there, but it's all stuff that I gathered firsthand, and that's what I kind of want to share with you for the next, you know, hour and a half or so. No, what, I got a half hour, right? Something like that. So we're going to go through that, and please do me a favor. Please, if you have a question, just stop me. I'll get back to it. You know, I don't always do PowerPoints at these things. I just talk. But then when you have PowerPoint, people can see the pictures. But if you have a question, I'll get back on track. Don't worry about me. I'll get back on track. But stop me and ask a question. So this was my first thing, you know, as I told you, what caught my attention. Cochise County, right to Phoenix, to Philadelphia. And most of his jump-off point is Phoenix, which is about 3 hours from Cochise County. And they're coming over the border. We're going to talk about how they do it, how they get across the border, why they pick certain areas, and which I didn't know, which you're going to see in a few minutes. Cochise County is the county where the wall was stopped when Joe Biden became president. So you'll see. It's how many people remember that scene from Blazing Saddles? Where you remember the movie Blazing Saddles?
Yeah.
You remember when they're driving through the desert and they're like, somebody got to go back to town and get a shitload of quarters because there was a toll booth there?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's like on the border. All of a sudden there's wall, and then no wall. So it's not hard to get around the wall, you know, in Cochise County. So we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. Cochise County is the 38th largest county in the United States, and it's 83 miles of border. We have 4 border states on our southern border. Arizona is one of them. And Cochise County has a lot of border, 83 miles of border. Now, he's only got about 100 deputies. So in Bucks County, we have 76 sworn deputies. He's only got about 100 deputies, and he's got about 15% of his deputies just assigned to the border. There's not a lot of people down there, law enforcement. I think I saw 2 U.S. Border Patrol agents while I was down there. And these guys and gals are by themselves, literally taking their lives in their own hand. Obviously, Arizona. Again, my drawings, but I think it's important. It's not just the red is coming here to Bucks County or Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, but it's going to all the major cities throughout the United States, and they're coming in this one particular area where they're coming in. I'm going to show you the numbers of the people that they've encountered and what happens to some of these people, which kind of blew my mind. And still, every time I say it, and I'll say it again tonight, I can't believe some of these statistics. But they're coming in and being distributed throughout the United States. They're going throughout the United States. They don't stay in Cochise County because we've kind of joked with them. There's a house right. It's got to be from here to that door. The guy is a retired U.S. Marine. He's got a U.S. flag and a Marine flag. His front porch faces Mexico. And he sits there, and we kind of joked about it, like, what does this guy do? Does he afraid of the people? They go, no, they don't stay in Cochise County. They don't commit crime in Cochise County. They get out of Cochise County. If they can get through the desert, and they can get to a roadway, and they get to people that are driving them, we're going to show you some videos from their body cameras and from their in-car cameras from Cochise County Sheriffs of some of the smugglers and what happens down there. And depending on, it doesn't matter where you are with all this border stuff. We're going to talk about the Mexican, the national that's looking for the better way of life, which is fine. Do it the right way, that's fine. But everybody, what they tell us is everybody that comes across the border owes a debt to the cartel. No one crosses that border without the cartels. You think we don't have nearly the power that the cartels control over these people. And you're going to see, you can't really see it, I'm going to circle it in the slide, while we were standing on the border, and we were right on the border. That first slide is from my iPhone, Find My iPhone. That was us standing on the border. I'm going to show you that in a minute. I'm going to come back to that. But these people are coming across, and if they are coming for the better way of life, they owe the cartel forever, and they can never repay that debt. Yes, sir.
Why aren't these states implementing the National Guard along the borders?
Well, we're going to come back to that, but that's a good question. And some states are. I mean, he's got his own local, not the National Guard, but he's got his own local police. When we talk about right now, we're going to talk about 9/11, and it's not going to be if, it's only going to be when another attack happens. I have a nephew in the Middle East in the U.S. Air Force. He just got deployed back. He got deployed right before all this happened, and he was telling us that it's busier than ever. He's been in the military now for 7 years. He said even with the other conflicts, it's never been as busy as it is right now in the Middle East, moving equipment around. My wife just told me they always coming home for Thanksgiving. I said, he ain't coming home for Thanksgiving. I said, we are going to be at war, some sort of conflict between now and January. They're all waiting to see what's going to happen, and there's going to be something happening. There's no way. So we'll try to come back to that. But this country, Mauritania, is in Africa. They are stopping Mauritanian nationals coming across the Mexican, this is just Cochise County, just these 60 some odd miles, coming across from Mexico into Arizona, right to Phoenix, to Brooklyn, New York. Why is that? I don't know. And these are all Islamic national. It's an Islamic country. I'm not saying bad or good. I have no idea. They can't say bad or good. We're going to talk about people on the FBI watch list in a minute.
Not good.
But they are saying that when they stop these folks, they identify that they're heading to New York. And you're going to ask, well, how are they releasing them and how do they get to New York? Well, we're going to kind of mention that in a minute or two. But this is something we should be concerned about. These are definitely something we can be concerned about. That we should be concerned about, yes. So they have a group. Let me just try to get this. I'm going to have a clicker. So they have a team. They call them the SAB team. It's the Southeastern Arizona Border Regional Team. And this group of about 15% of the department deals with undocumented aliens, drug smuggling, mules, marijuana, meth, heroin, all kinds of drugs, human trafficking. And they stopped in a 3-month period. They stopped, this is just one town, one sheriff's department. In a 3-month period, they stopped 120 people on the FBI terrorist watch list. Now, I would say, good job. And it is a good job to those men and women on this team. Says, well, what happened to those people? Well, they turn them over, and then they get released to the United States with a court date to appear. How long do you think the court date is? When do you think the court date is?
Years.
5 years. What? Now, I can tell you as a sheriff of Bucks County, we can't get people to remember their court date in 5 days. let alone 5 years. So these people are never gonna be showing up for court. 5 years is what they reported to us, that these people get court dates. Now, what's happening with these groups? One could only guess. One could only guess what's happening. But I think that's amazing. 120 people in a 3-month period on the terrorist watch list.
Probably way more than that.
What's that?
Probably
Oh,
way
it's a lot more than that. That's only that. So this is some statistics they gave me from 21. They had this is one group, 1.1 sheriff's office, 1.7 million encounters. 63% of them were other than Mexican descent. So this stuff that we see on TV is people coming with their families that are looking for asylum, and looking for a better way of life. Let's just say you want to say, yes, you're right. That's only 1 in 3. That's only 1 in 3. So where are the other 2? Why are the other 2 out of the 3 coming into Mexico? If you didn't do anything wrong or there's nothing to hide, come in the regular way. 184 countries that breached our southwest border. 162 migrants that they got in their area of patrol that died. So it's also a human rights issue. It's just miles and miles of desert. And it's not like you're going on a camping trip. The cartels don't leave you with supplies. The cartels don't leave you with supplies and water, maybe enough for a day, and then you're on your own. So that's this is even if you're on the different side of the aisle on this issue, it's still a humanitarian thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why were those people turned over? Why didn't they end up to Guatemala?
They're turned because the sheriff's office in Cochise County has no mechanism to put them in jail for border crosses for federal offenses. It's up to the federal government, and we see on television that they're not doing anything. They're just not doing anything with it. The border, it shouldn't be that difficult. It's really not rocket science when you think about it.
Bless you.
Yeah, God bless you. It's really not rocket science when you think about it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, you calm down. It's Cloward and Pivot strategy, all right? We're being replaced, okay? And stolen elections have consequences, okay? So from Arizona, stolen election from Arizona, stolen election from California, okay? And then you got an idiot in Texas that pretends to be a Republican as well, not doing anything until 3.5 years later, all right? Okay?
Amen.
If something can be done, it should have been done 2 or 3 years ago.
That's right. Tell the truth.
The sheriffs have the power to do pretty much anything that God can do,
Yeah.
except resurrect.
And they're not
Okay.
doing it.
So you can do that.
Yeah.
And I understand the laws are different in Pennsylvania for deputizing. I get that. However, you'll still have volunteers that will go through that training.
So I get a lot of questions, and it really is more about the border. I don't want to get in the hole of people think I can do a lot more than you, and you just can't do things because. And I have to talk to an attorney that guides us on what legal and what is not legal for us to do.
You don't
But-
need an attorney.
But I get
You go by the
a
Constitution.
I get a lot of people that ask, and I'm going to put it just as simply as I can. When the FBI did that raid in Upper Bucks County, people want to know why I didn't stop them. Against the was it the abortion doctor?
Markov.
Yeah, whatever.
It wasn't a doctor.
Not whatever. But why didn't I stop them? I'm like, I have no power to stop the
Yes,
FBI.
you do. Yes, you do. You can keep them out.
You really don't.
Yes, you do.
You really.
Yes, you do.
I don't want to get in an argument, but you really don't have the power.
Can we stay on topic, please?
So I want to really just talk about the border issues.
Yes, you do. You have that power.
Well, we can certainly discuss it another time, but I really just wanted to stick to the border issues because a lot of people think we can do a lot more than we can, and I have to do also what's not going to be deemed as illegal or improper. So I get it. I understand because I've heard that argument before.
That's not an argument, that's fact.
Well,
You can't do that as a sheriff.
I respect your opinion. Well, so let's talk about some of the criminals that they came across. 60 people, homicide suspects, 1,178 assault suspects, over 2,100 drug suspects, 800 burglaries suspects, and 1,600 DUI suspects. I think I'm just going to go through the stats pretty quick because I think the pictures are at 488. Stay away.
Are you just using the like arrows?
Yeah.
Alright, let me sit here and do this,
Oh,
when you stand over there.
fantastic. You're right, no one said I was standing in front of the thing, you let me stand there? Go ahead. 488 sexual assault, go ahead, just put them all up, the other way.
This one?
Yeah.
No, wait, go back.
So, now, somebody wanna see something?
I wanted to
Good.
see the other picture.
Go back, there we go.
Thank you, hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's
Now,
not
are
totally
these- Were those
destabilizing.
crimes,
Yeah.
that were
That,
allegedly
those were
committed?
people that they brought, that came in and they ran rap sheets on them.
Okay.
Crimes that were committed. So this is just some of the drugs that they got in this county in 2021. 10,000 pounds of phenol, 115 pounds of methamphetamine, and you can see 311,000 pounds of marijuana, 5,000 of heroin, 86,000 pounds of cocaine. Yes,
So, I'm seeing.
arrests are made for these, yeah.
Yes, I see
Yeah.
a lot of this, but what I'm not seeing, what about the children?
That's
Huge
what I
traffic.
want to know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are they? What about them?
Is that the truth?
There's like nothing about any of the children.
Yeah, you know, what's kind of ironic, they didn't really talk to us that much about kids coming across in their county. So what I didn't get to yet is what they call give-ups. So when you see the caravans of people, right, on TV, you know what I'm talking about? And is that where you're seeing a lot of kids? They're processed by US government officials and not by local police. They don't know what happens to all those kids.
No.
Oh my God.
Awful.
Well, you know, you can't, they just have no power over that. They have nothing to do with that. They don't see the people smuggling. What they're really seeing in Cochise County is people smuggling for criminal activity. They don't see people smuggling for a better way of life.
But in the beginning of your conversation, you said that the cartels,
Right.
that the people are indebted
To-
for life to the cartels.
Yeah,
That
they-
would include the children,
They
correct?
did, well, no, the adults. When we were down there, they did not talk about, and I think it came up, but they kind of just didn't, like they weren't seeing that in their county, what we see on television. I have no explanation for it. And I'm only here not to do research and regurgitate it back to you, but what I saw and what we found.
I was just wondering
Yeah,
about
no, it's a
the
great
children.
question. We talked about it, but they did not have really much dealings with kids coming through. That was not something that they came across. So, almost 700,000 encounters with people, and then they estimated almost 200,000 people that got away. People that they stopped and they couldn't catch.
In one county.
That's just one county,
In Cochise.
in Cochise County.
And you.
And that doesn't include,
They're going too fast.
the getaways. That's the ones that
No,
they
you gotta pay
came
attention
across
to
and
the
got
scenes
away.
that's there.
Not what they didn't capture at all.
Everybody good? You got your pictures? I just wanna make sure before I move
We
again.
could always send out copies of this.
There we go.
We can send out some of the stats, that's not a big deal, I can send them out if you want. So that's where we were, standing right on the border, that's the picture from the iPhone, go ahead, next. So, this is the pictures that I actually took. So this is through the wall, this is an old fence that's still there. And that was all that was in the border, and that's what is gonna be to the west of us when you see some more pictures. But that was the original border line, before any of the presidents said, Barack Obama, believe it or not, and I did not know this, so it's the Barack wall, the Trump wall, and then there's no Biden wall. So Barack Obama actually started a lot of the wall, which I did not know. We were all shocked at that. So Barack Obama started the wall, and then Trump came in. Now, it's funny, the Trump wall is actually taller than the Obama wall. Well, I guess Trump just had to go bigger. So go ahead with the next picture. Here's the wall. Then this is, and then you can see, I have it circled on another slide, but this is where it stopped. That's where Joe Biden stopped the wall right there. And this is the wall where we were standing. This is in Cochise County. And what you're looking at is the west. If you kept going, you'd wind up in the Pacific Ocean. So we're in Arizona, you'd go to New Mexico, or Texas, New Mexico, and then California. And that's just basically, it looks like a wall. Now, you can see the metal on the right. You see those pipes? There's more close-up pictures. That's all wall and pieces of the wall that were never put up, that were stopped as soon as Biden signed that order. And it's sitting there rusting, and it's all paid for. 75% of it, the U.S. government was under contract to pay for 75% of the job. I guess whoever the builders were realized that this could stop with another president. They're not going to finish it in 4 years. And if Trump doesn't become president again, another person could get in there and stop it. They still wanted their money. So the US government was contracted, they had to pay them 75% of what the job was. So if the job was $1 million, which obviously it wasn't, they got $750,000, even though they only did $250,000 worth of work at this point, because this is where we are in Arizona. It didn't continue. Go ahead with the next slide. That's, you can see that's where the wall was stopped. Go ahead with the next slide. So, next slide. That's the cartel lookout. It doesn't look like much from here, but when you're standing on the ground and then you have the Cochise County Sheriff's Office pointing it out to you, that is a cartel lookout. And as we were standing there, and it was probably about 10 of us all together with the Arizona cops, with the Cochise County officers, they said they're watching us and they watch your movements. And when you're not there, that's when people come across. Obviously, they don't do it in front of you. But even with the wall being open just down the way, they're still coming over, and you'll see shirts that got hung up on the wall and stuff like that. Go ahead with the next picture. Here is, this is looking east. This is looking east of the United States. And again, more close-up of the pipes that were just sitting there and rusting away. Go ahead with the next one. More pipes. This is just, we're just standing there. You can see, obviously, we're the ones not in cowboy hats. It's really the real deal down here. It's you know, you see it on television, but these men and women, you know, are truly, for lack of a better phrase, old-fashioned kind of cowboys. And I mean, they just wearing boots and all the garb and stuff like that. And they just, you know, this is what they do every single day. The stuff's just rusting away, getting weathered, just sitting there. It's all paid for. This is light post is all supposed to light up. It's very dark there at night on the wall, but these are all electric is ran to that, but it would stop. These are supposed to be big street lights lighting up the wall knot. So the point of that, the equipment was left behind. Just the equipment is left behind. So the U.S. government just left everything behind. This stuff is just sitting there. Just there's nobody working on it. The only thing the government does, and you'll see some pictures, they repair the wall that's there where the cartels weld and go through it. Because some of them weld, some of them go over, and you can see the repair marks in a few minutes. But a lot of the equipment, there it is right here. So these are workers. These are the dates. You can see May 4th of 23, May 12th of 23, June 7th of 23, June 8th of 23, where they come out and repair the wall in these different areas.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So after the wall is installed, is that treated for something?
I have no idea.
Because if it's laying there rusting out, okay, would it have to be treated? If it was.
I guess once it's up, I have no. That's not a question.
Water runs off
No,
the
it's a
whole
special
thing.
type of metal. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
gonna rust right away.
Yeah, I have
Trump
no idea.
explained all
It's a good
that
question,
stuff.
but I have no idea.
He got that wall good.
It's like an old car.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's
You
treated.
still have those old cars around, and the new cars are rusting.
Right, the old cars,
Bob Wire, go ahead.
rebar.
This is yeah, I forget. This is not. I can't pronounce these names. Naco. This is through a regular border crossing right down from here is a regular U.S. border crossing, which is not that busy. It's mainly locals and Americans and that are going back and forth. There's some clothes that are up, got caught up on the barbed wire. Go ahead. That's one of the chiefs. No, I don't know why he. So they have floodwater gates that they open every now and then, just so when the rains come, they just had a big rain, so they have to let the water through. So it was kind of weird. Again, U.S. Border Patrol, and I literally saw one car the entire time. I think there may have been two agents. I saw one on foot, a little bit down, and one guy in a car, and they're literally all by themselves. And they, you know, they're all trying to get out of there, getting different jobs there. We were talking to one guy, they're applying for different places.
Busy
in the
funding
federal
Israel and
government.
Ukraine.
It's extremely dangerous. It is extremely
Fucking
dangerous.
shit.
Especially when you're dealing with the drugs. This is looking into Mexico, I'm sorry. So this is all desert. This is the old wall, just what's there, the barbed wire. And then you can see right here, I'm sticking the camera through. So it's really, I was pretty amazed. I mean, the only time I ever crossed into Mexico when I was like on some trip, I went in through Tijuana, like legally, right? I don't even remember what year it was. And then going down to like Cancun or something, cause, you know, those. But then you're just flying. But so I never expected it to be just barbed wire. That's all it's separating. And it's not like the Canada side. I mean, you're getting real bad guys and gals coming across.
Why can't New Mexico finish the wall?
I guess they could, I don't know why. I don't know the answer to that question.
Why don't
I
our
mean, we're in
government
charge of
finish
all of
the
our
wall?
highways with toll money.
I guess they
And
could
that
put
gets
something
taken
up
care of.
on the US side, I don't know why they don't. It's a good question. I don't know why, yeah.
Because the federal government stopped Texas from doing
Go
it,
ahead.
and they would stop them from doing
I
it.
saw a
That's from
line
what I
where
understand, yeah.
They had,
You all gotta listen to Trump's speech today in Detroit, and he'll tell you most of what he's talking about.
Go ahead.
where somebody suggested, let's import Florida crocodiles and alligators. We'll work for food to protect the border.
Yeah, I wouldn't wanna be wandering down. This is the US side, looking in, and you can see it's just wilderness. I mean, it's 3 hours by car to Phoenix. It's about an hour and a half to Tucson, to the nearest airport. That's by car on a major highway. So you'll see in a little bit, especially when I show you the videos towards the end, they've gotta kinda hump it through all this sort of stuff to get to their people they're gonna be picking up. People are paid to transport them to Phoenix. So the cartels have people on the US side that are picking them up and transporting to Phoenix. Go ahead. This is Naco, probably pronounced it wrong. So this is an actual US border crossing, not a lot of activity there. It's the ones that are further down. So they wear these shoes. I thought this was quite interesting. They wear these shoes. They're very, very flat. They almost look like snowshoes, but they're for the sand, so that law enforcement can't trace their tracks. So you can actually walk through the desert and walk through the sand, and you can't see their footprints. Because the Border Patrol and the Cochise County folks and some of the other law enforcement that's down there, that's how they follow. They follow the tracks until they can find where they are or when they just come across. They get a lot of information about them crossing. I don't know how they get a lot of that. They share, there's 4 agencies all together. There's a local PD, there's US Border Patrol, there's Cochise County, and there's a 4th agency, I forget who they are off the top of my head. But they wear these shoes to kind of walk through, the sand and the desert and the mud and everything else, and supposedly it doesn't leave tracks. And they just leave these behind. This is stuff we just found that day. Once they get to an area where they can walk better, they just drop them. Go ahead. And that's the bottom of those shoes. Go ahead. The shoes again, walking through. And I just find that pretty funny. That's the sign on the border. Smuggling is illegal entry, blah, blah, blah. So that's really not preventing anything. So here is, we drove around, there's 2 major highways that connect Cochise County to Phoenix. So these men and women, the deputies, they work in teams and they patrol, and they have license plate readers like we have on the cars here. And a lot of the folks that have been stopped before for smuggling, it'll pop up on their screen that they were smugglers, and then they'll find probable cause to stop the car, which is pretty easy, and they'll put a stop on the car to see if they can come across and find any illegal activity. Obviously, that's me in the car. They were very nonchalant. I mean, we didn't give us vests or anything, and they're stopping these cars. We have no idea who's in there. So this is interesting. This is from their cameras. These are smugglers, mules coming across the Cochise County, and this is all drugs in the backpacks. And they come across in groups. This is actually being done at night. Go ahead. Go ahead. Next one.
Answer the question right there.
It's all being done. These are all cameras. These guys, these officers, it's cameras that they kind of put together and made, because they don't have the money for sophisticated equipment. And they've kind of, piecemealed stuff and put these camera systems together. They have hundreds and hundreds of cameras out in the woods. So here's a guy, a smuggler, who looked like an animal or just brushed. Like if you were camouflaged in the military. I mean, they're pretty sophisticated. Go ahead. This guy's crawling, so the camera would pick him up and they think it would just be an animal. This is fentanyl and methamphetamine that they were able to confiscate coming in. This is a lot of drugs. This is one seizure, 94 pounds of methamphetamine. This is stuff you don't hear about on the news. And again, just large groups of people. These backpacks, this is all drugs coming in. All drugs. Now, if these people get stopped, they get arrested when they're in the United States. So this is a little different than the stories we did before. So we might have to put the mic on. I don't know how good the speaker is. Go to the next slide. All right. So let's see. There's a video on here. All right. It's a. Let's see. Do you have a speaker in there? Do you know how to put the audio on? I don't hear anything.
No idea why.
The video's working.
It shows that it's.
What about the sound on here?
Yeah, that's what I was playing with here. So I'll share it.
Breaker. This is what
That's that.
Okay.
And it won't go up.
This is only.
So these are, this is, Cochise County
It's like
Sheriff's
you're watching your
body
comments.
cameras. And these are smugglers that crashed. And then they got people in the car still, in the trunk.
This is all staged.
Then you get a lot of people that don't make it and die. You'll see some of that. There's 3 videos altogether. But these are their videos.
Oh,
It-
yeah, that's not good.
No. And they've lost a lot of innocent people down there. These folks just crash into people. And they've really had you gotta be careful who you're pursuing. And, obviously if people are having a large amount of drugs or things of that nature, you're gonna have to weigh out the risk. But these are, videos. I'm sorry the audio's not working. And these are folks, a lot of them are paid to come in, are paying to be smuggled into the United States. A lot of them think they're coming in for a better way of life. If they're women, a lot of them are being sex trafficked. If they're guys, they're gonna owe them back. And that's what we're told, that if the cartels get you in, which most of it is, then you're gonna owe them for a long, long time. These, again, cars that are on fire. I think the last video is really, is interesting. They're short, they're less than 2 minutes. But this is all in their county. 2 major roadways. Again, these guys are just bailing out. This is what these officers are dealing with every single night. Look how many people in this car.
Do they continue to pursue them, or how does that?
Well, it's really, they have, from what because we ask the same questions, we don't pursue here in Bucks County. I mean, you really have to be a desperado, for police, because the liability, it's just too heavily populated to pursue people. And, I'll be honest with you, if somebody commits a burglary, if somebody commits a non-violent crime, what's the price of having them, I see we're being taped, so I gotta be careful what I say. What's the price of having them run into your family? I mean, even if they committed murder, you wouldn't want to murder your family. So, we don't change for property crime. I mean, there's a lot of things, that's a very simple statement. They take a lot of things into consideration, but pursuits, when I came on in '87, pursuits were a lot more prevalent than they are now. I mean, even when I left Ben Salem, if we had 6 a year, it was a lot. We just don't chase people that much. And with the technology now, with intersection cameras, it's not like it was in 1987. I mean, there's intersection cameras everywhere. So it's very easy to do a lot of follow-up investigation. You'll see, if you watch TV shows, they're doing it with intersection cameras and other community cameras. I mean, these cameras are just widespread. Yes, sir.
Not a street road though, where you get off 95. I got hit there, and then the cops told me there was no camera there.
How long ago was that?
A year ago.
A couple years ago.
I don't know if there's one there or not.
Yeah.
There's a lot more in Ben
The
Salem
cops just didn't want to
now.
deal with me, so yeah.
Yes, sir.
Use non-lethal means tasers. Okay, that's not a problem.
You can't use a taser when somebody's driving a car. How you gonna tase them? How you gonna tase somebody?
On foot. The ones that
Yeah, he's talking about pursuits, car pursuits.
Yeah, the ones.
Maybe I misunderstood you.
He was talking about.
Yeah, I was
cars.
I'm talking about
guys that were
cars.
driving away.
We're talking, yeah, you could tase somebody that's running from you, sure. I thought you were talking about cars.
I'm not gonna tase a car.
Well, I know, but that's what we were talking about. Auto pursuits.
He was
Maybe,
talking, he was talking about the truck.
he was asking about the truck. You all right?
I mean, I understand the density issue, the density concern. However, if you have more officers available, okay, that's a deterrent.
I don't argue with you at all about that. People would ask
What
me.
you're saying is it's too dense, which means that you don't have enough.
No, that's not what I said.
No.
That's not what I said.
No.
That's not what I
Talking
said.
about population.
Yeah.
It depends on population density.
And killing innocent.
We're not gonna kill a family because somebody works in a shed.
So yeah, is, because we've been hearing over the last like 6 months, you guys don't have enough personnel out there available to be seen.
Well, first of all, it's hard to get police now.
I understand, and what did that was these unhinged requirements to get rape jabbed by these things that we call vaccines that aren't vaccines.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with
But if you put
vaccines, but.
If you put your information out there for people, you will get volunteers for it.
People aren't joining law enforcement so much because one is, there's a lot of reasons for it. We're getting a little bit off topic, but I think it's important.
My brother.
Go ahead. People want to move over this, so we can certainly have this discussion. Go ahead, you can play that. This one, these are traffickers that got in a car accident with people that they were trafficking in the car, and each body, so when you deliver, the people that you're supposed to deliver, you get paid after the delivery. But you only get paid for the live cargo. And I use that term very loosely. I'm not calling human beings cargo, for the record. But he makes them, the guy, you would hear it if the audio was working, the guy, he's making the people wave. This was his GoPro. This was not law enforcement camera. This was confiscated from the bad guys. The bad guys had to show their boss that, hey, I know we had 6 in the car, but 3 were dead. And that's why he's making a live people wave. So that was off of their GoPro, and then obviously the police got their afterwards. And then this is just the last video, just of another pursuit. Again, it would have been better with the audio, and I apologize for that. But this is another video, and again, there's people in the back of the car, and they're just showing you Sierra Vista is a town in Cochise County. That's the next biggest town, right off the border. It's pretty, not that big, it's small, but I guess for them it's pretty big. Go ahead with the next. That? Go ahead. So, we went through it again. I apologize for the audio not working. I know some folks, I mean, I can tell by the room, I can get a feel when some people are disagreeing with some of the things I'm saying. We do with what we can do. I know a lot of people have different thoughts about different things, but I have to, work within the confines of the law as way it's explained to me within my attorneys and what our power and, what we can do and what we can't do. With that set aside, the purpose of this was the border's a real issue. And again, as I start off, how does it affect us in Bucks County? Those drugs that you saw are coming to Bucks County. Those people being trafficked that you saw are coming to Bucks County. The guns that they're getting are coming to Bucks County. Specifically the drugs. I mean, we are in a drug capital here with Philadelphia right next door. And Philadelphia's trying. I think Sherelle Parker's doing a pretty good job, considering where her predecessor was. But the bar was set low before her. And, if I was,
7 years ago.
We're being taped, so I gotta be careful on some of the things I say. But, you gotta work within the confines of the rules that you have and with the equipment that you have. Is there a way to prevent all this? Sure there is. Have the states start building walls. Hopefully, if Trump becomes president again, the walls will continue. I mean, walls work. What days in this country do you know that we saw the least amount of drugs in the United States?
Remain in Mexico.
What's
About remain in Mexico.
Yes.
That works.
September 12th, 13th, and 14th of 2001. Why? Because nothing moved in this country. Ground transportation was halted, air traffic was halted for a while, so things were really under a microscope. The night that they had the George Floyd riots in Philadelphia, and they were coming up through Knights Road, they were coming into Bucks County, people from Philadelphia, because criminals don't know border lines. They don't know where Philadelphia ends and Bucks County begins. And we made a decision to shut the roads down coming into Bucks County. Route 13, State Road, Knights Road, Route 1. Can't get every road. You couldn't get Dunks Ferry Road. You couldn't get every single road. But you got some of the big ones. You know what happened? People turned around, like a DUI checkpoint. And they turned around and went home. So the borders work. That's all I'm talking about tonight, is borders and the problems that it's faced. Because when I went down, and a lot of people thought, well, why is the Bucks County Sheriff talking about border? We are not a border state. guess what, we are a border state.
Yep.
And we are a border county, and I didn't know if I should say believed it or not, but I wasn't quite convinced until I went down, until I heard from them. And these men and women, they're really doing God's work down there. And they're working hard, and they're putting their lives, and they're not making a ton of money doing it. They're not making a whole lot of money down it, and they're really working hard. So, again, that's just a little quick synopsis, to come in and just kind of go over what I saw, and then I'll take any questions if you have them.
Sorry. So, I feel like this issue is going to be the number one thing that we talk about when we door knock. I think it's that. I think this is like a big whoa for people. Okay, are you able to track how many guns, how much drugs exactly are coming in from the border?
Well, it's hard to track that's exactly coming in from the border, but we're not manufacturing heroin here. The xylazine that's now in the United States, a lot of this stuff comes in from China, but doesn't come to China to, the Northeast Airport in Philadelphia. It goes to Mexico and it comes in. What they're telling us is, what they see coming in is about 80% of the drug supply in the U.S. is coming in from Mexico. It's not Miami as much as Mexico anymore. And the drugs are not getting any better. I can tell you, once we get a handle on one drug, and there's a new drug out now. I just got, an update on it. I can't even pronounce it, but it's in the xylazine family. It's another animal tranquilizer. Like, who decides to put animal tranquilizers in your body? But we're all affected by the drug crisis. Half the people in this room have drugs somewhere in their close family. Somebody's abusing drugs, and it's not that they're bad people. It's just that they're sick people. We have to understand that. When somebody gave a report about Commissioner DiGirolamo, funding that, getting the money for that one project, you got to stop people from wanting to use drugs, because as long as people want to use it, people are going to continue to bring it in. You're never going to, unless you just take away all our freedoms and and you lock down everything, and everybody gets searched every which way they go, and we suspend the Constitution. You're not going to stop the drugs as long as people want to use it.
That's the objective of the other side.
If every county in our nation is a border county, which basically it is now, why, and maybe I just don't know about it, why haven't we seen a lot of constitutional-minded sheriffs suing the federal government for allowing the invasion that's obviously going on? This is an orchestrated invasion.
I agree.
We've got people coming across with debit cards. They're very well fed, okay, and they're not starving for anything.
No.
So that's my question: is why aren't we suing the federal government, taking them to court?
Absolutely,
I don't know the answer to that.
absolutely.
I will tell you, without, I know there's been some ideas that I've thought about, that I've had our lawyer look into, and I'll give you for one.
If we stop recording, would you give us a different answer?
I probably would talk a little bit more freely, but we got
that my
recording.